Hi everybody, I'm Melissa Bruce, the Heavy Metal Psychic, and welcome to my video on grounding, bubbling, and centering. We call it the GBC in the Heavy Metal Psychic and Grateful Fairy Wings business, but it's a really important thing for everybody to not only learn how to do, but to use on a regular basis. I use this GBC method at least 10 times a day. Every time I connect with a new client, every time I set foot out of my house, and sometimes when my family comes home and they're in a bad mood at GBC because I want to be able to help them, but I don't necessarily want to take on all of what they're feeling at that time. Now we're going to cover a couple of different things in this video. Why GBC is important, first of all, and second of all, how to do a GBC. It's super simple. It is a form of meditation, but a very small type of meditation, and everybody should be able to do this because the truth is it really does help in so many different aspects of your life. Now, first of all, why would you want to ground and bubble? The best example that I have that I give my students is those who have a hard time going into crowded places. And I have a lot of students who come to me and they say, I just avoid crowds altogether. So they don't go to concerts, they don't go to stores that have a lot of people in them, because once they leave that place, they feel a lot of anxiety and they feel a lot of different things that they maybe didn't feel before they went into those particular places. Now, for people who are very strong empaths, it can be very overwhelming to be around a lot of people because empaths have a tendency to take on the feelings, whether they be physical or emotional, of everybody around them. And they don't realize that they're taking it on. They're actually like a great big sponge, sponging it all in without realizing that they're doing it. So of course, what happens is you own that feeling, think that it's yours, leave that store, and take all of that muck with you. And believe it or not, a lot of people don't just pick up on feelings, they pick up on thought patterns too. So you wind up walking out of there with your mind racing where it wasn't before. GBC is really important for people who have a tendency to do that or feel that way. And I guarantee that going into a crowded place after you've grounded and bubbled is completely different than going in completely wide open and ready to sponge. Now, the other thing is it contains your energy. How many people know people who are energy suckers out there? There's a lot of energy suckers out there. And when I put up my bubble, what I'm saying is, you can't have my energy. I worked hard to keep it the way that it is. And unless I give you permission to take some of that energy or send it to you, I am actually keeping it to myself and keeping you kind of sort of out of my energy bubble. Now, I have noticed going into the stores myself without a bubble, not only am I picking up on everybody else, but people are reacting in very strange ways to my energy because they don't understand it, or they're taking something from it that they don't realize. Now, this is kind of personal, okay? But I have noticed over the years, a lot of times, I've had guys following me around. And I had this instance at a store one time, and I really didn't look or feel at my best anyway. So I used that, sort of it was hot all day and I didn't take a shower as self-defense to make sure that that didn't happen. And it didn't matter. These two guys followed me all over the store. And it really makes me uncomfortable. Now, what I'm not realizing, of course, is that I didn't put my bubble up. And by putting my bubble up, I would contain certain energies and certain energies that would maybe draw these guys in. Like, for instance, energies from my own relationship. That's what they're picking up on. They're not even really looking at me at this particular point. By putting my bubble up, I protect myself from having to deal with that issue. Not that it's a problem, but it's just not something that I welcome being a married woman on a normal basis. I don't really feel that I need that kind of attention from other men. So I try to avoid it by putting my bubble up so that they don't feel that energy that's actually coming from a very healthy relationship with my husband. Now, also, it's a great tool to shut that mind down. Any of you have an overactive mind that just will not quit, especially right before bed? Grounding and bubbling is my go-to tool to shut that off. And not only do I shut it off before I go to bed, I have to shut it off every time I sit with a client. I've got to shut it off every time I'm focusing on something, because all of that muck that's going around in your head is just going to distract you from what it is that you need to be doing. So part of my grounding and bubbling is by saying, brain, it's time to shut off and stop overthinking everything, because right now we need to stay focused, and it's a means of controlling my brain. Believe it or not, and I've had a lot of clients come to me and say that's just the way that my brain works and I can't change it. Bullshit. I'm going to call bullshit on that one, because you can change it. It's your brain. You have control over it. That's how that works. So there's a thousand. Those are just 3 really good examples why it's so important for everybody to ground and bubble. But there's thousands upon thousands more. The truth is, this grounding energy is better than a shot of your favorite espresso, because it really brings energy, good energy, not fake energy like the espresso, but it's also a means of dumping your used up energy for the day and really recuperating your body with good, clean energy to get you through the rest of the day. So this is why we want to ground and bubble. But now the question is, how do we ground and bubble? And it's extremely simple, even though it does take practice. It did take me a while to really get the full understanding of it, and that for me is because I'm overly analytical. I had to know if I really had to bury my feet in the dirt, and I had to know, all of these different specifics when the specifics actually got in my way. It's a simple visualization tool that helps you out at any given point of the day. Think about this. You're in the office, you got to go talk to the boss, you've had 10,000 other interruptions come up, you're scatterbrained all over the place because all of these different things happen, and of course you want to go in and talk to the boss and be the best that you can be. So I'd ground and bubble right before you do, because when you do, you've cleared your mind, you've cleared your energy, and you can focus on point, instead of being all scatterbrained about what you want to say and possibly not getting that raise that you want, if you know what I mean. So we're going to start our grounding by rooting. Now when we root, we're actually rooting to the Mother Earth and her energy. And we root sort of like, if you can visualize trees. Trees have roots into the ground, and this is how they pull water up inside of themselves and rehydrate themselves. Grounding is the same way. We are saying that we are rooting to Mother Earth's energy. And when I say I'm going to root, I start to feel this little bit of tingling or little bit of light burning on my feet. And I know that I'm rooted. Now, of course, you're not going to grow roots out of your feet, literally. You're just, it's like a magnet. I say root, and and my foot becomes magnetized to the Mother Earth and her energy. Once I root, I start to pull that white light up from the Mother Earth. And some people need to root and pull it from the universe above them. Whether you pull from above down into the ground or you pull up from the ground, it doesn't matter either way. Both ways work. My thing with grounding and bubbling is to personalize it as much as possible. So I'm rooted. I can feel that little bit of a burning on my feet now because I said the words I'm rooted, and I'm rooted, and I'm going to start to pull that white light energy up. And as I pull that white light energy up to my knees, I can feel that tingle a little bit on my legs, on my lower legs. It's almost like you've got just this slight electric current going through your body. And then I'm going to pull it up to my waist, and I'm going to feel this sort of slight electric current in my legs. Now, if I also have any kind of, pain issues, let's say in my knees, that energy is going to be healing for that also. So you might actually feel a little bit more pain if you are grounding and there is a spot where there is pain. That's actually healing in progress. So don't worry about it too much. And I'm going to continue to pull this white light energy up to just above my navel here, and I'm going to feel all of that little bit of electronic buzz energy going through my body. Now, some people start to lose that feeling once they get here. It's okay. Just keep going and pull it up to your shoulders. and you'll start to feel that little bit of that vibration on different parts of your body. It may feel like it's constantly moving, or you might just feel the buzz in different places, and that's okay. It's completely up to you and your personalization of this process. Now we're going to pull that energy right out over our heads so that that light is shooting out. It starts and it comes into our feet and it shoots out the top of our head. As we're doing this, we're fully grounded. It's also, as that light comes through, it's saying, that's it, I want the brain to stop. I need things to quiet down. Now that's the grounding part. You're actually grounded to the Mother Earth's universal energy, and as she's putting that energy through you, she's also cleaning out all of your own energy, your old energy at the same time. And for me, when I ground and then bubble, that white light becomes my bubble. And my bubble is completely full of not just this white light, but I like to use different colors in there. I add a little bit of pink for unconditional love. I have a little bit of lavender because it keeps me calm and kind of sort of in my zone. And of course I got the white light that's cleansing my whole space. And this is a big bubble. We're talking 5 feet by 5 feet by 5 feet all around us. So we're not just cleansing ourselves, but our space at the same time, which is really, really important. Now, not everybody can travel around in a pink bubble. I understand that. So this bubble is it's really important to personalize this and make it yours. Maybe you don't want a bubble. Maybe a shield is better for you. Or maybe shields around you are better for you. Maybe walls are better for you. Maybe mirrors are better for you. You need to personalize this bubble. And the reason why you need to personalize this bubble is because when you make it yours, you stand a better chance of actually doing this process. Now the centering is really easy peasy. You want to remain centered in what you're doing. So of course, if your mind is going in 10,000 different directions, you're not centered. If your emotions are going in 10,000 different directions, you're not centered. If you're overly logical or overly emotional, you're not centered. These two things have to work together. So bring them both to the center. You're not overly emotional, you're not overly analytical, you're allowing your emotions and logic to work together. For those of us that work in the spirit realm, that kind of balance is needed too. You can't spend too much time in the physical avoiding the spiritual, but you can't spend too much time in the spiritual avoiding the physical either. These things have to work together and balance. Centering is all about balance and making sure at that moment that you are completely balanced in what it is that you need to do. This is also a really good tool for anybody that has a tendency to get overwhelmed really, really quickly with things. When you got all kinds of work piled up, you take literally 2 minutes to do your GBC, become centered, really get rid of all of that nasty energy that you've gotten so far, put yourself in your love bubble, as I call it, and then you feel a lot less overwhelmed, and it makes it easier to focus on one thing at a time, which is ultimately what you want to do. So the grounding, bubbling, and centering process, it does take practice. I mean, it took me a few months to really get the hang of it once I got through my physical perceptions over it. But once I just started doing it every day, and I always tell my students 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you should be doing your GBC right when you wake up in the morning, right before you go to bed at night, and at some point at least one time in the middle. Doing this is going to help you in so many different ways. The biggest way being, you won't take things quite so personally all the time because you're in your bubble. And when you're in your bubble, there's no need to take anything personally because you understand that it's not personal to you. So go ahead, try doing your GBC today. Put those comments there into the comments down there below the video. And if you have any questions, you can put those down in the comments of the video also. I love helping people GBC because, to be honest with you, this is not only your first step to protecting yourself, both physically and spiritually, from other people as well as spirit if you're working with spirit, but it's also a great opportunity to put yourself in a place of power rather than getting yourself caught up in the drama of the everyday world. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you guys next time I decide to make another video.